The Henderson family library felt suffocating, with its leather-bound books and generations of judgmental portraits staring down at me. My entire family had gathered for what they diplomatically called a discussion about my future. "Sweetheart," Mom began, perched on the antique settee, "we're worried about you. Living in that tiny apartment, driving that old car. Working those odd consulting jobs," my sister Elizabeth added, adjusting her Cartier watch. "It's just not appropriate for someone of your background." Dad stood by the fireplace, every inch the successful patriarch in his bespoke suit. "You're 32, for God's sake. Time to grow up and join the real world." I checked my phone discreetly, watching my latest algorithm work its magic across global markets. The family thought I was probably checking social media, another of my wasteful habits. "The position at Henderson Capital is still open," Dad continued. "Executive track, proper salary, respectable office." My phone dinged softly. The notification made me smile. "Your $4.8 billion transfer is complete. Quantum Fund Alpha balance updated." Mom's carefully rehearsed intervention speech stopped mid-sentence. "Was that your phone?" "Just a transaction alert," I said casually, watching their faces. "Rather large one, actually. The quantum computing arbitrage was particularly effective today." "Quantum, what?" Elizabeth's perfectly plucked eyebrows furrowed. I turned my phone's screen toward them, showing the transfer confirmation. The number of zeros made Dad's crystal tumbler of Scotch freeze halfway to his lips. "That's..." He squinted. "That can't be right." $4.8 billion, I confirmed. "Give or take a few million. The algorithms are still running." The library fell silent except for the antique clock's steady ticking. Mom's hands clutched her pearl necklace, her tell for extreme distress. "But you've been living like... Elizabeth gestured vaguely. "Like someone who understands the value of staying under the radar?" I suggested. "Those odd consulting jobs you mentioned were with quantum computing pioneers. While you were all worried about appearances, I was building something that makes traditional banking obsolete." "This is absurd," Dad set down his scotch with a sharp clink. "No one makes that kind of money without the family name?" I finished. "Without your connections? Without a corner office?" Actually, that's exactly how quantum finance works. Pure mathematics, pure code, pure innovation. I pulled up the real-time trading dashboard on my phone, projecting it onto the library wall. Billions flowing through quantum algorithms, AI systems predicting market shifts microseconds before they happened, patterns emerging from chaos. "Those programming classes you mocked in college?" I continued. "Built the foundation for algorithms that just outperformed every hedge fund on Wall Street. While you were maintaining your country club memberships, I was revolutionizing financial mathematics." Elizabeth's manicured hand shook as she reached for her phone, probably checking her own investment portfolio. "But the market regulations are based on classical computing limitations," I nodded. "Quantum systems operate in a different reality. Those wasteful years I spent studying theoretical physics just changed the rules of global finance." Mom stood up, her intervention speech forgotten. "But your apartment, your lifestyle, is exactly why it worked," I explained. "While you were all focused on showing wealth, I was building it. Those embarrassing coding sessions in coffee shops were worth more than every designer suit in this house." My phone buzzed again. Another billion-dollar algorithmic trade executing flawlessly. The quantum systems I'd built were reshaping global markets while my family worried about my social status. "The trust fund," Dad started, "is pocket change," I cut in, showing them the latest numbers. "That money you thought I was wasting on computer games? Built trading systems that make traditional investing look like counting beads. While you were protecting old money, I was creating new mathematics." The library screens filled with data. Quantum algorithms processing more information in seconds than traditional banks handled in years. AI systems discovering patterns humans couldn't comprehend. Financial models that made classical economics obsolete. "Your sister's wedding next month," Mom said weakly, "when you said you couldn't afford a new suit. Was when our quantum systems went live." I smiled. "Those long hours you thought I was avoiding family responsibilities were spent revolutionizing global finance." Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not worried about keeping up appearances. Dad's face had gone pale, his authority visibly crumbling. But the family legacy just got redefined, I stated, standing up. While you were maintaining tradition, I was building the future. Those investment strategies you called reckless just made your entire approach to wealth creation obsolete. My phone lit up with another alert. A major hedge fund requesting access to our quantum platform. The same fund that had rejected my internship application 5 years ago. Now, I headed for the door. I have a video call with some quantum physicists in Tokyo. They're helping us push the algorithms even further. At the threshold, I turned back one final time. Oh, and about that executive position at Henderson Capital? They looked up expectantly. You might want to update your technology first. Quantum finance doesn't run on last century's software. Or last century's thinking. The library door closed behind me as I left them sitting there, surrounded by symbols of old wealth that suddenly felt very small. Through the window, I caught one last glimpse of their shocked faces. The same faces that had smiled condescendingly at my poor life choices all these years. Sometimes the biggest fortunes grow in the smallest apartments. And sometimes the best revenge is letting them count the zeros they never saw coming. The next morning, the Henderson family breakfast tradition took on a distinctly different tone. Gone was the usual lecture about responsibility and appearances. Instead, an uncomfortable silence filled the mansion's formal dining room as my family tried to process their new reality. The Financial Times, Dad said stiffly, tablet shaking slightly in his hands, has an interesting article about quantum trading algorithms. Finally caught up, have they? I replied, sipping my coffee while checking the overnight trading data on my phone. Another $2.3 billion in profits while the family slept. Your system, Elizabeth ventured, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant. It's what crashed the Martinez fund last week? The algorithms detected their vulnerability, I nodded. 15 years of traditional trading strategies, undone by quantum mathematics in microseconds. Rather like your husband's hedge fund might be, if he keeps ignoring technological innovation. The dining room's antique walls now displayed real-time data from our global operations. Quantum computers processing trades faster than human thought, AI systems predicting market shifts before traditional analysts even saw the indicators. But surely the SEC, Mom began. Can't regulate what they don't understand, I finished. Those regulatory frameworks you trust were written for classical computing. Quantum finance operates on different principles entirely. My phone buzzed with another alert. Excuse me, I said, checking the message. Our Asian quantum nodes just identified a new arbitrage pattern. The one Dad said was mathematically impossible at last year's Christmas dinner. The board of Henderson Capital, Dad started, his voice strained, has requested an emergency meeting about accessing our quantum platform? I finished, pulling up the request. Along with every other major financial institution that mocked our initial proposals. Funny how billions in profit changes perspectives. Elizabeth set down her silver fork, breakfast forgotten. But the risk management is beyond human capability, I nodded. Those financial models you studied in business school are like using an abacus to calculate rocket trajectories. While you were managing risk, we were redefining mathematics. The dining room screens showed another market shift. Our quantum systems had just reshaped global currency trading in the time it took to butter toast. Your brother Thomas, Mom said carefully, at Goldman Sachs, just lost half his fund's value trying to compete with our algorithms, I confirmed. Those solid investment strategies he bragged about were rendered obsolete by quantum computing last Tuesday. While he was playing golf with clients, our AI was rewriting trading rules. Dad's hands trembled as he reached for his coffee. The family investment portfolio would have crashed too, I said, pulling up the analysis, if I hadn't quietly shifted it to our quantum platform last month. Consider it a favor for all those lectures about real investing. My assistant's message flashed across the screens, the same brilliant physicist Dad had dismissed as just a programmer last year. The Tokyo markets are opening, she reported. Our quantum prediction models are showing significant arbitrage opportunities. Execute, I confirmed, watching billions flow through systems my family had called a waste of time. And schedule that meeting with the SEC commissioners. Time they understood what they're trying to regulate. Elizabeth's perfect composure cracked slightly. The SEC commissioners? But how? Quantum mathematics doesn't care about social connections, I explained. Those government contacts you all cherish? Are realizing they don't understand the new financial world. And we do. The screens filled with more data. AI systems processing decades of market history in seconds, quantum algorithms finding patterns that made traditional analysis obsolete, blockchain networks reshaping global finance. Your trust fund, Dad said weakly, we should discuss. Is still untouched, I cut in. Sitting in that account you monitor while my real wealth grows in quantum space. Amazing how appearances can deceive, isn't it? My phone buzzed with congratulations from tech pioneers and mathematical geniuses, people who'd seen the future while my family clung to the past. Now, I stood up, straightening my deliberately modest jacket. I have a quantum physics symposium to address. Rather different from your country club speeches, Dad. At the dining room door, I turned back one final time. Oh, and about those poor life choices you were so worried about? They looked up, faces still struggling to adapt to their new reality. Sometimes choosing a different path isn't about being lost. It's about finding something so new the old maps are useless. The door closed behind me as I left them at the breakfast table, surrounded by symbols of traditional wealth that quantum computing had just made obsolete. Through the window, I caught one last glimpse of their faces. The same faces that had demanded this intervention about my life choices. Sometimes the biggest fortunes are built far from corner offices. And sometimes, the best success is the kind that rewrites the rules while everyone else is following them. A month after the breakfast revelation, the Henderson family mansion had become eerily quiet. Gone were the constant lectures about appearances and responsibility. Instead, I found my family members quietly trying to understand the new financial world I'd created. I discovered Dad in his study late one evening, surrounded by quantum computing textbooks, his usual Wall Street Journal replaced by theoretical physics journals. The wave function collapse in your trading algorithm, he said without looking up. I've been trying to understand. The same principle you called science fiction nonsense at my graduation? I smiled, sitting across from him. It's what allows us to process market data in multiple states simultaneously. The study screens displayed real-time quantum operations. Billions in transactions flowing through mathematical spaces traditional finance couldn't even comprehend. Your mother, Dad said quietly, found your old physics notebooks in the attic. The ones from high school. When you told me to focus on practical subjects, I nodded. Those equations were the foundation of what we're doing now. Sometimes impractical dreams build the most practical futures. My phone buzzed with another market alert. Our quantum systems had just identified a pattern that would reshape global trading by morning. Elizabeth enrolled in a programming course, Dad continued, almost whispering. And Thomas quit Goldman Sachs, I finished. I know. He's been sending me quantum computing questions at 3 a.m. Turns out investment bankers can learn new tricks when billions are on the line. The study's antique walls now reflected the blue glow of quantum data streams, a stark contrast to the old oil paintings of Henderson patriarchs. Each pixel represented more wealth than our family had accumulated in generations. I found your college thesis, Mom said, entering with a worn folder. The one about quantum probability and market prediction. The one you said would never have practical application? I smiled gently. It's now the core theory behind systems managing trillions in global assets. Sometimes the most theoretical ideas have the most practical impacts. My phone lit up with another breakthrough. Our quantum AI had just solved a financial problem mathematicians had struggled with for decades. Your sister's hedge fund husband, Dad began carefully, filed for access to our platform this morning. I nodded. Along with every other fund that called our ideas unrealistic last year. Amazing how quantum returns change perspectives. The screens showed another market shift, our algorithms rewriting global finance while traditional traders slept. I've been thinking, Dad set down his quantum mechanics textbook, about what you said about choosing different paths. And I never saw it, he admitted. Any of it. The mathematics, the potential, the future you were building. Too busy looking at the world I knew to see the one you were creating. Mom touched the screen displaying our quantum operations. These patterns, they're beautiful. Like abstract art, I agreed. But instead of paint, we're using mathematics to create something new. Those art classes you worried were distracting me from finance actually helped me visualize quantum spaces. Elizabeth appeared at the door, laptop in hand. The coding tutorial you sent. I have questions. About quantum entanglement in trading algorithms? I smiled. The same concept you called nerdy nonsense at last year's gala. She nodded, looking genuinely curious for the first time in years. The family legacy, Dad said slowly. It's not what I thought it was, is it? It's whatever we choose to build, I replied, pulling up our global impact metrics. While you were protecting old wealth, we created new possibilities. Those quantum systems you dismissed are helping solve everything from climate change to medical research. My phone buzzed with updates from our educational initiative, bringing quantum computing to schools where traditional finance never reached. There's still time, I told them, watching markets transform on our screens. To build something that matters. Like what? Mom asked softly. Like a family that values innovation over tradition. Where success isn't measured by country club memberships. Where even old dogs can learn quantum tricks. The study filled with the soft hum of computers processing more wealth than our family had ever imagined. Through the window, the sun rose on a financial world our quantum systems were quietly revolutionizing. Welcome to the real family business, I said, watching their faces shift from confusion to understanding. Now, who's ready to learn some quantum mechanics? Dad picked up his textbook again, this time with purpose. Mom studied the pattern of market flows with an artist's eye. Elizabeth opened her laptop, ready to code. Sometimes the greatest legacy isn't preserving the past. It's inventing the future. And sometimes, teaching your family to see new possibilities is the best revenge of all.